Right. Okay, I'm gonna record it. Okay. Okay. We're gonna do something in between this haircut, oh, and a little bit of that haircut. Something in between all of them. With the sides over the ears, I always kind of take the side and let it kind of fall, and I cut and push up a little bit and then cut, so you don't create a hole too. And then I always, on the sides of their head too, when I'm sectioning, if they do go that short and it is like right behind the ear, I might take some of this to create like a cushion so that it doesn't cut that too.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather it be a long, I always get that long piece here that I have to go back in once it's dry and styled right here behind the ear, because I always pull more forward so that it creates that long piece, because I'd rather cut this, because that's what that is, it's just here. I'd rather pull it all forward and cut that later than cut it too short and then be old.
Yeah, see, I feel like mine are like they just seem like two things right here.
Yeah.
It's like short and stacked in the back, and then two long things.
Too long, yeah. And then back here too.
You're good.
And the occipital bone too, depending on how they want it, right, is gonna depend on how you section too back here. Or do they want it to be more like square? Because then you're gonna just go straight across and cut, and then probably stack it a little bit. But with those ones, most of them are pretty like rounded, so I'm gonna keep it pretty rounded. I'm gonna go
You want clip?
in the occipital.
So you section it as like a triangle, right?
Yeah. And then I find like, hey, do they want it to be, and I always ask them like, do you want it to be like as short as like your hairline? And then I have them feel it. I'm like, do you want it that short at your hairline, or do you want me to preserve it and go a little bit longer than your hairline? That one with like the reddish hair, hers was pretty short. So I am gonna go, I learned this at Symposium. And I did it not too long ago, and I was like,
Way easier.
yeah, I like hold up and then just cut.
Yeah, I would have never thought to over direct that.
No, and then it goes short to long. I'm still gonna cut it shorter, but you can see
Oh yeah,
that like,
it just makes your stack for you.
yeah. And I, depending on if like you want a 45 or more up higher, it'll depend on how stacked it is too. But then I can either
Cut
go
it
in
off.
and literally just cut that off.
Oh, okay.
Smart.
So then I just saved myself like 15 minutes of trying to like either scissor over comb.
Yeah, see, I do that. I cut the length and then
Yeah.
pull it up and do
Yeah.
that.
And I can still do that and go a little bit shorter if I want, because then I can go in and kind of angle it. Because with the way that it's angled right now, right, I want to go in and kind of hold my sectioning where it's parted. How it's sectioned like a V like that, I still want to hold my sections to be like that and following. So I'm going to still go in a little bit. And still kind of take that corner off. Right, and then this is where you could go in and like clipper it. My Paula, the one that got the fireplace, I went over and like surface cut with my clippers, because she has a bunch of like texture, so it all was like flying out. So I went in and like point cutted it into the calyx. Then I also just went over with my clippers and just kind of like surfaced over it so that it would like
Lay with the
lay with the hair better. And then I would like rough it up a little bit and then keep doing it until I liked how it looked.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing too with shorter haircuts. It's like a bunch of haircuts.
Yeah.
Like you cut the length and then you have to texture it and then you have to even it all out.
Especially if it's like a full
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not
Going
just, like,
from long
cleaning
to
it up.
short, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I always get the people that have those like weird cowlicks. I'm like, so I thought your hair was gonna do this, and it's not.
It's not. Same thing here now. Now I'm just gonna go up, and I kind of want it separated. So I just take that, like, look at where that hair kind of falls,
Right.
and then I'm gonna just direct it all to the middle.
Then it's way easier than trying to get your hand in there and do that short length.
Yeah, because I can't. My hands, I'm like,
Yeah. You end up cutting your hand.
mm-hmm. It's easier to get lost, but like that's staying up.
Right.
And I can just go. If they have really fine hair, I wouldn't do this. But if they have hair to spare, then I can. But if they have hair where you're gonna see through it really easily, no. Because then if you cut too much, you're gonna create that hole, and then you're not gonna have that length anymore. It's almost like razoring. This is how you would kind of like razor it too. Because you're gonna hold that and usually go with your
cut
razor
down, yeah.
and cut.
You just reminded me I need to buy razors. I haven't had them in so long.
I need to buy them too. So then it's stacked. So you're not using this as your guide anymore. You're using the top of that so that it's separated, but then still connected, and it can round really well. So if you want it to be disconnected and kind of lay over, then you would use that, but then go past that and go a little bit longer, so that it kind of like rolls over
on it,
that clipper
yeah.
part.
Okay.
So
That was
like here,
way easier.
right? So like here, if we wanted to go, so then you.
Yeah, I feel like that's the part that my people are always like, I want this to be like a poof.
Right. So then now,
That to be long.
if they wanted it to be longer, then you would go here, because if you cut it here at your guide,
It's still
you can
gonna be
see where it's
short.
gonna lay. But
Yeah.
if you then direct it over, like a like more of like a 45, you can see how that's still gonna be really stacked, but still
Yeah.
longer, right? So if you pull it up here, that's gonna be a lot shorter. Or if they want it like really round, that's pretty short. So with that picture, I'm gonna go still in the middle. Go more on 90 off the ground. Using that as my guide and then just going straight up. Still directing it all to middle because it goes from short to long. More 90. And I did that
that
first
might
one.
be my problem too. I feel like I still just follow around their head instead of pulling it off to the back.
Right. Or like doing, falling, because that's going to create more roundness. Right. And I like to dry cut a lot too. I'm just using this to kind of get the length off. And then I'll go back in. It's like right there, it's kind of pulling that ear section too much, and I'm not going to do that. Where it's still long but short. I don't know where my guide is, so I'm going to take a smaller section so I don't get lost.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that, pulling it up instead of cutting the bottom and then going over it.
Right? And then sometimes, depending on how much hair they have, if they have a lot of hair, I like to split this to get the length, and then it's easier to go back in, because if you do too much, your shears aren't cutting it the same. It's going to become really choppy because there's so much hair in it pushing the hair that it's not going to cut well. I'm gonna finish with that. in the front. Matching the length here. Visually.
Adjust the trim.
Connecting to create your length in the front. And then you just have to connect on the sides.
Like at least 2 inches.
Taking a picture?
Okay, so how do you did
The front.
the side?
So the side, so I separated it here, right? So I went, brushed it down,
Mm-hmm.
cut at like an angle, kind of just like decide where I kind of want the length, right?
So,
Yeah, and then in the front, I took both like the sides, not directing it up because that's gonna create a different length, right?
right.
Keeping it straight down, going under her chin, right in the middle of her face, and I went and I cut like that
Oh,
to
okay.
create my guide in the front.
Okay.
And then I went and I connected from here to here to create that guide so that it's still even on both sides. And then I want to make sure that that's nice and even before I continue moving on. Does that look even?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I can go where she parts. If she flips, I would do it down the middle, but then still check. I would flip her hair and still check it when it's dry too.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna brush this out. If they have straight hair, I like to use the finer teeth so that it gets to the scalp all the way down. Because like if I use these teeth and then go back in, you can see how much hair is still kind of brushing out, and that's not gonna give you a precise like length of how long she wants it, right? And it's gonna be all like different lengths at the bottom. So if they have textured hair, I would use the wider teeth. Since her hair is pretty straight, I'm gonna use. And then not using any elevation, I have my guide and I'm just gonna follow that to create my length. Right? Other side. And then over the ear too, you can see how that's now like kind of longer right there. I can now use that. You can kind of use that guide. You can see it right there. Right?
Right.
Now, sometimes I would do this dry depending on the person's texture. If they have finer hair, I'd probably do it dry. You can see how that already has like really cute shape to it. But this still is like disconnected to this because this is all like one length, right? And this is nice and textured. I'm gonna go at a diagonal forward and kind of pull all this back. Pull it all back to where I lose that length. All that length is out. To create that same roundness that we were doing, right? And still keeping it 90 to the floor. And you can see that previous guide too, right there. Pulling it back to preserve that length. I like to let this fall, especially over the ears so you're not creating holes, right? Letting that go. And taking these sides again. Pull it back. little bit. This side's layered more because it was already previously cut. But I'm mostly just letting her length fall out on the side and then pulling it back from there. So like here you can see because it was cut differently on one side than the other before. Like you can see that length is pretty short right there. That's from like the previous cut. I'm mostly just taking it and just pulling it back. Setting that length as my guide and then using the actual guide as well. And then if they wanted to go shorter at all, you can either take it in and go like here and go like shorter and angle it at like a 45. Because if you were to do it with clippers, you'd go out at like a 45 and scoop, right, and take it out. You can do that with your shears as well if they want to go shorter. And you can feel it, like at the occipital bone is where you would angle and scoop out and pull out, right? And sometimes they'll go in and just point cut and texturize it, depending on how short they want to do it too. And then usually I get more weight kind of right around where you guys do too, around their ear, which I like to do that dry and kind of see the texture and the shape that it's going to give me before I go in and totally take off that. That's how you navigate. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just gonna let it go. Keep it on the ground, I'll step on it.
Okay.
Easier.
Yeah.
Thank you. Grab my round brush.
Look with curly hair.
Now I'm gonna blow dry. I'm just gonna use the ABC leave-in. Maybe. Now I'm just actually going to use Big Blowout. So we don't have any more ABC.
She literally booked out a whole year, every single yeah.
No.
She's like, don't laugh at me, but my papa told me to do this. Like, right. I was like, and it's pretty long every time we cut it. I like to cut it back to where it was. Grown folks, these shoes, like,